Fantasy superlatives next on Fantasy Football Today in 5. Welcome to FFT in 5. I'm Chris Towers. I'm here with Dan Schneier, and summer's basically over. It's Labor Day. I think that's the unofficial end of summer. Growing up in South Florida, we don't really have seasons, so I don't really know when the seasons actually start or end, but I'm going to say it's the end of summer, and we're going to do a little kind of reverse yearbook. I know you do the yearbook at the beginning of the summer. Hey, keep in touch. We'll talk at the end of the summer. No, we're doing it at the end of summer this time. Fantasy superlatives with the 2023 season a few days from kicking off. And Dan, we are going to get started with the most obvious fantasy superlative, most likely to succeed. Who are you going with here?
Yeah, best mid-round breakout is who we're going with here. And I am going to go with James Cook. You can still get him in rounds 4, 5 range. You used to get him in round 6, 7. And I look at that situation, and I think that he is an unbelievable talent with great vision in a great offense. And yes, he may lose some red zone touches and overall touches, but I'm not so sure that's going to matter given the situation and the talent that he has. So Cook, to me, is the best mid-round likely to break out.
Yeah, I've come around on James Cook because of the preseason usage, because all the reports out of training camp. I do still worry about like how high the ceiling can be in this offense because, you know, Josh Allen historically hasn't thrown to his running backs very often. He's taken a high share of their goal line work, but you know, we've been talking about it for a few years saying, well, they probably need that to change at some point to extend his career. So, you know, this might be the situation where they really like James Cook and they decide to do it. So maybe Josh Allen runs a little less, leans on his running backs a little more. Let's move on to best couple. And this is the QB wide receiver stack that you want most in your drafts.
Yeah, so just like the first one, I'm going to go with value based on where you can get these guys. Obviously, I could just say like Burrow to Jamar Chase, and that would
that one's but that's Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, those aren't fun. I'm going to go with based on value, Justin Herbert to Keenan Allen. I think both Herbert and Allen are great values. Everything I've seen out of camp so far is that Keenan Allen is being used in different ways, a little bit more vertically down the field. But more importantly, just look at the Kellen Moore years in Dallas and how often Dak Prescott targeted the slot receiver, especially when it was CeeDee Lamb, and how much success they had. And I think they'll carry that over with Kellen Moore as the new OC there.
Yeah, I've been all in on Justin Herbert since the start of drafts. My thought early on when, you know, Joe Burrow was like a 3rd round pick was didn't really make sense to draft Joe Burrow in the 3rd when you can just get Justin Herbert, who the first 2 years of his career averaged 26 points per game and 6 point per passing touchdown leagues. I guess it would have been PPR as well. I don't think he had any catches though. And now their prices have come a little closer together, and Herbert's a little less obvious of a value. But look, the combination of him and Keenan Allen, I've got that in a couple leagues. I'm very excited for what a healthy Keenan Allen can do. I think him and Devontae Adams are the only wide receivers to be top 12 in points per game 5 straight seasons. Travis Kelce also would have done it if he was a wide receiver, which just tells you how good Travis Kelce is. Let's move on to the biggest flirt. That is the player who seems like they're going to break out, but doesn't, i.e. Gabe Davis last season, Kadarius Toney every season so far of his career. Feel free to go with Kadarius Toney again if you want, because I think he probably qualifies here.
Yeah, but he's going late enough now that I feel like it's less of that. I'm going to go with Travis Etienne here. I just think there's a really good chance that Tank Bigsby comes in and steals that red zone role, that goal line role right away. And I think Tank Bigsby, even as we've seen in the preseason, is going to steal some early down work too. Who knows, he'll steal passing down work. He was pretty good in that regard as well. His Auburn film is really good. He has great stop and start ability. He runs with really good low pad level, and he's able to break tackles and explode through contact. So I think Bigsby's an actual good prospect, and he's going to take away a lot of those touchdowns from Etienne. So I still think Etienne will probably get like 1,300, 1,400 rushing yards, but I'm a little concerned about the touchdown total and the receiving total.
All right. Most likely to break a record. Let's close it off with that one.
I'm going to go with Anthony Richardson and the rushing record for a quarterback. Not even just the rookie rushing record. I'm going to go with the overall rushing record. I believe Lamar Jackson currently has it with 1,206 yards, the most ever by a quarterback.
That's so many yards.
So many yards. But Anthony Richardson is going to be running so often, and that's behind that terrible offensive line with no run game. They're going to drop him back. He's going to run. We saw it in the preseason. I think he'll average, like, what do I need him to average to get to that? Only like, let's do a little math here.
I think it's like 65 yards per game, something like that.
Okay,
right?
Yes. I'm saying he's going to average 75 yards per game. That would put him at 1,275 rushing yards. So there we go. That's how Anthony Richardson breaks that record.
Yeah, and look, the case for it is that this guy might be the best athlete we've ever seen at the quarterback position. The two comps I've made is he weighed in, I think it was like 3 pounds lighter than Cam Newton and ran a 40-yard dash that was nearly 0.2 of a second faster than Cam Newton. He was also about 20 pounds heavier than Justin Fields and ran a faster 40-yard dash than Justin Fields. High-level athlete, maybe the best we've ever seen at the quarterback position. Shane Steichen, new head coach in Indianapolis. He was the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia. They ran with their quarterback a ton. They're going to do the same thing. And one other thing, I believe the Colts had the most average time remaining on the play clock in Anthony Richardson's plays during the preseason. It was like something like 12 seconds left on the play clock. That tells you that they were getting to the line quickly and running a ton of plays. That might be one way that this team can make up for, what might be on a per play basis, a somewhat mediocre offense. So I think obviously there are some question marks on the Colts offense. No Jonathan Taylor for the first 4 weeks, but Anthony Richardson could be a superhero in that offense for fantasy. And that's going to do it for FFT and 5. We'll see you tomorrow.